This is Apple, and this is Apple on the weekly chart. And price finds itself right back at the weekly bias level at 173, roughly $27 short of Jim Cramer's $200 target. Now, when we think of Apple, we think of the iPhone, right? It's one of the biggest success stories in history, let alone the smartphone industry. Since its introduction in 2007, Apple has sold more than 1.5 billion units worldwide. In the first quarter of 2009, iPhone sales were responsible for about a quarter of Apple's revenue. Fast forward to the third quarter of this fiscal year, 2023, and that figure jumps up to 39%, equating to roughly 40 billion US dollars in the quarter. Now, this past week, Apple launched the iPhone 15, and Tim Cook himself was there to greet folks at their flagship store on Fifth Avenue in New York City. Let's take a look at this video before we continue with the analysis.
Now to the iPhone 15, going on sale around the world today. And Tim Cook showed up at the Apple Store in New York City as part of the festivities. Our Steve Kovac is there as well. Lines being reported in China and Dubai and in New York, Steve. So there's some enthusiasm here.
Yeah, and I've been here since, believe it or not, 5 in the morning today, Kelly, and the line is still going. People just keep adding to the line. It's around the corner here on 58th Street, stretching from Fifth Avenue down to Madison. And as you mentioned, Tim Cook showing up to open the doors this morning at 8 a.m. We saw him inside. He was signing autographs, believe it or not, of people's boxes of newly purchased iPhones. But look, after all the cheering and the jeer and so forth that we're seeing and the celebrations, the pressure is really on for this iPhone 15 lineup after we've seen Apple go through 3 straight quarters of declining revenue, expecting a 4th quarter of declining revenue as well, unless these phones right now in the last couple weeks of the quarter perform above expectations. But look, next quarter is the real quarter to watch. That is the important holiday quarter. Comparisons for Apple's revenue, top-line growth, should get a little easier next quarter just because of all those COVID lockdowns and supply chain issues they had in the year-ago quarter. So Apple really hoping that the comparisons get better, return to the top-line growth investors are looking for. And the key to that, Kelly, is the Pro line of phones, the more expensive phones, especially the iPhone Pro Max, which costs $100 more than it did a year ago. I talked to the first person in line early this morning. He got here at 8 o'clock last night, and he said he's in line for that Max because it has the best features. That's exactly what Apple wants to hear, Kelly.
What are the features? I was going to ask you, apart from the nice round number of 15, that's a lovely number. Yeah. My son wears it in football, so I'm fond of it. But what are the features that people are turning out and getting in line at 5 a.m. or whatever it was to get? What is so different about this phone from its predecessor?
The answer, in short, Tyler, is not much. So year over year, the advancements are pretty iterative, and
right.
Apple does that because people hang on to their phones for so much longer than they used to. So whereas, in the early days of the iPhone, people might want to upgrade every 1 or 2 years, that's been extended to 3 to 5 years. So if you're going from an 11 to a 15, that feels like a significant upgrade. The cameras are so much better. The performance, the battery life, the screen technology, everything that you would care about will be improved. If you have an iPhone 14, you're not going to feel that improvement as much. I'll go back to the guy I talked to, the first guy in line. He's going from an iPhone 13 to the 15. So he's a couple generations behind. For him, it's going to be a more significant upgrade. I don't think you're going to see a lot of people, except the ultra Apple fans, going from a 14 to a 15, Tyler.
I think that's a very interesting piece of analysis there, Steve. In other words, if people are keeping their phones longer, and so when they're ready to move from that 11 or the 12 to the 15, it really is a markedly different phone as compared with the 14, where, as you say, the changes are really iterative or incremental. I just got a new phone myself. I've held onto my old phone 3.5, almost 4 years. It's markedly, it's a better phone. But
Wait, did you get a 14 then, like just a couple of weeks ago?
I am not in that ecosphere.
Oh, I see. So the timing of this launch.
Oh, we got a Samsung guy here.
Yeah. Yes.
Green
yes.
guy.
Yes.
An iMessage.
Yes, all right, that's right. All right, Steve, thank you, man.
Green bubble.
All right, yeah.
Thanks.
Now, whether Apple stock is going to break this weekly buyer's level or give it another shot higher is anyone's guess. From a macro standpoint, we are entering the worst week in the stock market history. And then we're about to enter one of the worst months in the stock market history in October. So again, it's anyone's guess if this weekly buyer's level is going to hold. If you have conviction that we will see a turnaround and a Santa Claus rally towards the end of the year, that weekly buyer's level at 173 is a good opportunity to go long. However, if this level gets breached and we get a close below the zone, look for price to head down and retest the downtrend line at roughly 160 to 164. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.